Hey everyone. Hello everybody. My name is Samad, and today is going to be something a little bit different. If you've seen me on Facebook Live, usually I do either I do guitar classes, like talking about music theory and guitar in general, or I perform video game music or pyramid music, a whole bunch of different kinds of music. Today I'm gonna do kind of a hybrid thing. I'm gonna be playing you. I'm gonna analyze, break apart, dissect, explain two pieces, of music from Joe Hisaishi. Specifically, the first one is gonna be Chihiro's Waltz. Chihiro's Waltz is a piece from Spirited Away by Hayao Miyazaki from Studio Ghibli. And what I'm going to explain actually is I'll break apart kind of the song, the piece of music, but I'm working on this not from his original orchestral or original film score, but I'm working on it through a guitar arrangement by Hernan Gonzalez. So the analysis is based on this guitar arrangement that I already play. So some of it may really differ if you transcribe the music from the orchestral score. You might get different insights. But I think even from the arrangement itself, from the guitar arrangement, there's a lot of things that you can learn from this reduction or this interpretation of the music. So I guess the disclaimer is that whatever I'm sharing today may not be 100% representative of what Joe Hisaishi does in the original film score, but should give a little insight on the melody, the song form, give you a bit of ideas of how he writes this music. And so this, and the other thing is, this analysis is in real time. So this will be me explaining stuff as I play it. I'm gonna deduce things, point out stuff, and hopefully together we'll have a blast going through this music, because it's really beautiful music. At any point, if you have any questions, please feel free to type out questions. Sometimes on Facebook Live I may not be able to see it. I'm checking it on, I'm going to check on my phone as well, on my phone and on the desktop, but sometimes when you leave a comment I may not see it, so I apologize in advance if I don't see it. But hey, I'll try my best to kind of answer anything that I do see on both these platforms. So yeah, let's just start. So I think let's before anything, I think you should hear the piece of music first. So this is gonna be this is Chihiro's Waltz. So I'll play the piece once through first, and then we'll start breaking apart the song and the piece of music, this composition. Okay? Here we go. And that was Chihiro's Waltz. So that was Chihiro's Waltz from Spirited Away, Miyazaki's classic Spirited Away. So I'm just checking out. Okay, cool. No comments yet. That's fine. So what can we learn from this? Well, first and foremost, I think it's just a really beautiful. It's a beautiful piece of music. It has this kind of dreamy and hopeful spirit to it, really. Let's just play the melody and kind of look at what's happening in the melody. It's the first phrase then. Can I hear that? That's the melody. So, the opening theme. Now that one, that's a really important interval, and you know, you hear that in. So the perfect fifth is such a characteristic interval in a lot of film music, especially, you know, like I said, Star Wars. It's a strong interval, very big, not super big, but it's a powerful, very clear interval. And the reason that it's such a strong sound is that in the harmonic series, when you talk about music theory, when you have a note, naturally occurring in physics is the fifth. That's just an interval that happens in nature. So when you start a melody, and you use the fifth, it's a very strong way to start a piece. So that's strong. That's a great way to develop it, by the way. So it starts C, G. So it's descending. So the interval becomes larger. Then it goes scalar. Now, why is this kind of good? Because you can see that the G note here, this note, happens so many times. It's kind of anchoring on this G. And the thing is, the piece of music is actually in the key of C. But the melody seems to stay on this G. Now, why is that important? Because in music theory, when you have the note G, the G is the dominant note, the fifth note. And when you anchor the melody around there, it creates a kind of like sort of unresolved feeling. So instead of staying on the note, let's say if you did the melody on C, C is like basically home. Like, you know, when you have a scale, like major scale, if you keep writing on C, it becomes very even more super poppy. But here it starts with a C, and at this point, melodically, you have. So at this point, you still haven't heard the E natural in the melody. You heard C, G, B, and then A, G, F. So far, by just listening to the melody, we have these collection of notes. No, actually, no E yet. And then the melody develops. Now that's scalar going down. Now that GC is an inversion, an interval, what do you call that? Yeah, it's an inversion of the CG. Instead of going C to G, it goes G to C. So that's related to that first melody. Then octave change, do, re, mi, and that's the first time you hear the E natural. that spells out A minor going to a D. Now that's what's happening melodically for the first 8 bars. What are interesting things here? Number one, that you have the melody, there's that leap, kind of oblique motion, then scalar, then it goes higher, inversion of that first interval in the melody, then change of octave, then A minor goes to D. This creates, because you want to hear this resolve into, then here, instead of going to that higher octave, in this arrangement it goes scalar, and now it spells out C major, second inversion, F, then spells out A minor again. So you hear the resolution, but it doesn't spell a G7 there. So there's little things like that in terms of the note choice that make it sound interesting. Now, why is it interesting? I don't know yet. We don't know yet. But there are definitely things that not everyone does this. Not everyone does these kind of things. But it's still diatonic. It's still in the key of C. It's in one key, but all these movements are very important. When you compose a piece of music, the melody is what a lot of people will hear. A lot of people will remember the melody first. And that's one part of this arrangement. Now the other thing to kind of look at is are the guitar chords. But before that, we should look at the bass line first. So the bass line goes E, so you have, and this is not like, usually you have, this goes from C. Whenever I hear C to E, I always feel that it's a very hopeful harmonic movement. It just sounds. It goes to F, then C over E, then it goes to F over A, inversion again, C over E, inversion, A minor, G7. G7 sus4 G7. Now, in this regard, a lot of times when you talk about cadences, it tends to go to D minor 7 to G7. But in this case, instead of doing a more common F to G7 or D minor 7 to G7, he chooses to go A minor to G7. So that's a little bit different. And these things are important because when you compose, the little twists and turns that you decide are the ones that will make your piece sound different than someone else's composition. The little twists and turns, I say, because if you do completely different and completely in a completely unpredictable way altogether, people might not be able to follow your music. But in this case, what do we have so far? We have a strong melody that balances that has strong intervals like fifths and fourths, scalar movement to create contrast. The cadential melodic sections go to A minor instead of D minor to G7 or G7 F to G7, so a little bit uncommon. Maybe that's what makes it sound a little bit sweet. And the structure is in 8 bars, so it's a common 8-bar structure for the A section. Now I'm going to play again the first 8 bars, and then now we're going to listen to the texture of it. One more time. the way I'm playing this, this is a waltz, is in 3/4 time, and it's kind of has a flowing effect. So it has this kind of like that kind of ebb and flow to it, which is different than if you did a waltz that goes. Or if you did a jazz waltz, would have. So when you compose a piece of music, even in 3/4 time, there are many ways of creating a texture, creating a time feel, creating a flow to it. And so I think that's something to consider when you're analyzing or when you're breaking apart a song or you're learning a song, to understand what kind of texture is the foundation of the thing, whether it's this that has a bit of a flow to it, kind of a pushing motion, rolling motion, and so combining that kind of melody with that kind of bass movement, that kind of harmony, and everything's pretty diatonic right now. There's nothing outside of the key. Everything is in the key of C major, and a lot of inversions. So what can we say about this? One way of starting to write more interestingly is to not just use the chords in root position, to use inversions, to have a balance between strong intervals like a fifth and a fourth. And if you, let's say for example, if you often write and compose music or play music in 4/4 time, common time, or 2/4 time, writing in 3/4 is a great way to get into different areas, different kinds of songs, different kinds of musical pieces. So that's that. So let me just check whether anyone has any questions so far. This is, if this is geeky, it's because it is. But one of the things that helps someone play music better is to understand what makes the piece of music, how it's constructed, how it's built. The more you understand it, the more you become more confident when you play it. So that's something to consider. Do you need to know everything? No, you don't need to know everything. Does it help? Sure it does. Will it make you play less musical by understanding what you're doing? I don't think so. I think you, if anything, you probably play better by understanding what you're doing. So that's what's important. Okay, I think there's no questions. So, checking Facebook. So guys, if anyone has any questions about this, anything I'm explaining, if it's too abstract or too weird, just hit me up with a question. Cool. So let's go to the next section now, the second A section. Here it goes. What's different, what's similar actually for this one from the first section? That's the C. And here it goes, instead of higher, one octave higher, it goes down. That goes to E, G, C, E instead of A. Instead of unresolved, it goes to the tonic, but in the E. Then it goes F. It just, so that's a great way to resolve it. It goes to C, and that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then it expands. Now it goes into a B section, I think. It goes. So that's the first 16 bars. This first 16 bars, I'll play it again and dissect it again. E minor, F, C it goes to this B section. Now this is new. So this B section, a lot of things are happening here. For the first thing is in the first section is in the key of C and stays in that C key area, the tonic area. In this section goes to G, so it goes to the dominant. C, F. So you have the here, so you have that kind of dominant to tonic cadence, then subdominant F, and here is the first non-diatonic chord, the first out of key chord. It's a secondary dominant. It goes B7, it goes E minor, then E diminished 7. I really hear it as an A7 with a G in the bass. Goes to D minor, the 2 minor, D minor 7, then G7. Why is this important? Remember just now I said it didn't go to D minor. D minor does not appear in the first A sections. This was saved. So it goes from G harmonically, G to C, then F, then 5/7 of 3, then really A7 to D minor, then D minor 7, G7. So that 2/5, the 2/5, D minor 7, G7 was saved for this B section. It was saved here. And this is the other thing about interesting compositions is that you want to decide when you want to use certain things. For example, if you want to use chromatic harmony or something special, a chord that's not in the key, you might want to save it for a certain section of the song. And that's something I learned from when I was in Berkeley. I was studying with Steve Roshinsky. And Steve Roshinsky, a brilliant harmony teacher, he would always spot that in different pieces of music where you would hear it once in the piece, it'd be like a Chick Corea piece, and then this chord happens once, or Bill Evans piece, it happens once, it's saved, it's savored, it's decided that you do not put that in, and that's what Joe Hisaishi did here. He saved the D minor chord, that D minor is saved, and before that even the B7. That's saved. Very important not to use everything at once. Use it at a special spot. There is the spot. Now after that, the last A section goes like this. Same so far. Here. Here is where it's different. This time the D minor creating a very strong 2-5-1 cadence as opposed to the first time kind of like chill, and then the second time it goes like F7 to F to G7, which is okay. It's a strong kind of pop cadence, but at the end he saved it. Now it looks like the song, this piece of music, this composition feels like it's just like it's not a big deal, like it's like AABA form, which is very common. You have one section and then it changes, it goes again to the next section which is similar to the first one, 2 A's, goes to a B section which is contrasting, and then it goes back to the A, and it's very deceptive because it seems like nothing has changed, but things have changed. Things have changed and things have morphed in a very subtle way, and these kind of subtle changes are what make this composition worth listening to, worth and you know, if you don't pay attention to these subtle differences, you don't realize the beauty of it. The beauty of it is in creating very subtle changes that are enough to keep it interesting, but not too much that it becomes very far away from what the piece is about or what the original ideas are. So let's talk also a little bit about the melody in the second part. So very much more chromatic here, much more chromatic. So you have the C triad, D, D, here fifth, E, scale, goes to G, A, B flat, scalar going down, sequence. So there's two sequences that chromatic, that beautiful chromatic movement. So there are a total of like probably 3 chromatic notes in the melody that whole F sharp when in the key here, chromatic neighbor tone, and then here that B flat here. Here, little drama at E flat going to the D. It's just going down, but creating drama by having this added chromatic note. Again, a lot of pieces of music will often have the B section as the pinnacle, like the main point where so much drama is focused on this part. So if you have the B section, especially towards the end of a B section, is when the drama of the piece, all this kind of chromatic things or tension is built there for the release in the last A section. And that's the beauty of it. Diatonic harmony, a lot of balance, composition, balance development, sequences make it memorable, and just a nice flow to it. So from my initial analysis of Chihiro's Waltz, those are kind of the elements that stick out. So let's let me play it again. Just a sec. Checking a bit. So yeah, I'm gonna analyze another piece after this a little bit, but let me play the whole piece again so you can hear how it sounds like. Okay. That was Chihiro's Waltz from Spirited Away by Hayao Miyazaki from Studio Ghibli. Okay, so any questions, ladies and gentlemen, folks? If anyone has any questions, feel free to type it out. If not, I'm going to dissect one more piece, or at least a section of it, I think. Might be too much to dissect the whole thing. But I'm going to do probably a little bit of Innocent by Joe Hisaishi, which I think is also a beautiful piece of music. And so hopefully this will help you. To anyone who wants to compose or write music that's more beautiful, it's good to analyze pieces of music that are beautiful and understand what they're using, so that when you use these things in your own composition, you're more informed why they create that kind of mood. It's like understanding your ingredients better. So let me play a little bit. I think what I'm going to do is probably we're going to analyze. I'm going to be on for another 10 minutes. We're going to analyze the first part, maybe just the opening section of Innocent up to the A sections. So this is Innocent by Joe Hisaishi from Laputa Castle in the Sky. Just that much. I'm just going to analyze and break apart that much of the song. That composition. Introduction. So in this arrangement by Hernan J. Gonzalez, it starts off with fourth voicings. Fourth voicings are when you have intervals of diatonic fourths, or maybe even sometimes non-diatonic fourths, but in this case diatonic, in the key. So you have F, B, E, A. So this is an F major 7 flat 5. And it's different than if I played an F major 7. That sounds like tons of really beautiful, happy, poppy, like Carpenters or funky pop songs. F major 7 would be like that. But F major 7 flat 5 has a bit of a bittersweet quality. This is a Lydian voicing. And even that opening interval, it's an interval of a fourth as well. Strong interval. Then it goes to the next chord, E minor, also E minor 7, 11 in fourths. And that's also in fourth. The melody itself is in a fourth, descending. And here is when it goes to D minor 11, F, G, D minor 11, scalar, going up, resolves down to an E. And this is a B7 sus4. So also, sus4 voicings are also part of the 4 family, and they create this open, ambiguous, mysterious texture. So this whole opening probably fits the title, Innocent. And it's, Laputa Castle in the Sky. This is about civilization in the sky. And it's floating. So all the chords are literally floating here. Ambiguous, unresolved. So it fits the mood. Again. Can you hear it? Can you see what I mean? So when we compose a piece of music, in this case, Joe Hisaishi just chose chords that would paint the picture. The harmony and also the melody is so spacious at this point. You have that. Maybe I should play it here actually. Texturally, it sounds thicker. I'm also doing this vibrato on the chords. Really nice, mysterious, open. Going to the A section, let's just look at the melody. To the next A section. Here is scalar. Up a third, resolving a fourth down, then fourth up a third, going down, a fourth again, scalar, fifth up, sixth down, scalar, chromatic note, scalar again, up a third, fourth, down fourth, up a fourth, down a fourth, scalar, strong resolution. That's the first time you hear the D sharp resolving to the E, which is strong tonic T do resolution, solfege wise. So what's interesting here? In this case, it's sequential. Then it's a sequence. Then continue. Sequence. Here it changes. And so the melody itself, it's descending. It has a descending quality, but it goes down, goes up, goes down, goes up. In a way, I feel that the melody is floating, much like the castles in the sky. Is that what he's aiming for? Not sure. Sounds like that to me. How about in the chords? It goes C, G, A minor, E minor, sus4, F7, B7. So you have the B minor, C at 9, G over B, G, A minor. This is 4 minor, oh no, 1 minor, but it sounds like it actually pivots into becoming the 4 of the 5-7 of 5 going to B7. And then in the second half, E minor goes to sound, descends down to B minor, C at 9, A minor, 7, E minor, then 4, 5, 1. So in the second half of it, a very strong resolution into the 1 chord. So that's the other thing. If you're writing a piece of music and it has 2 A sections, you do not want to resolve the A section the first time, resolve into the 1 in a strong way, because if it resolves right there and then in a strong way, you don't have anywhere to go. So that's another thing that's worth remembering. Yeah, so let me just play again that part. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the entire piece and I think close on that, because that's a pretty long session. But maybe next time I'll continue on analyzing the next part of it. So let me just play the whole piece for you guys. This is Innocent by Joe Hisaishi from La Puta, Castle in the Sky. Okay, folks, that was it. Thanks so much for watching. Again, my name is Az Samat, and a few things I want to mention. Number one, if you're in Singapore, I'll be performing this music live at Game Start Asia, Southeast Asia's premier gaming convention, where it'll be retro gaming, new games, Final Fantasy 15, Ubisoft, Singapore, Overwatch, like I don't know, tons of stuff. You can check it out more on the website. And I will be performing live at GameStar Asia on Saturday at I believe it's 5 p.m. performance. Let me just double check for you guys. Yes, I'll be playing at 5 p.m. for a 30-minute set. So be on time. Catch me in Singapore at GameStar Asia. Number two, if you're in Kuala Lumpur or Klang Valley in general, or actually anywhere else, but if you're in Klang Valley and your office or your workspace, or if you guys want to have me over for a guitar concert, a performance, feel free to invite me. I'll be very open to that. I did a performance recently at Lemon Sky Studio, and a wonderful animation studio. Did a performance for their employees, their staff there, private concert. And so that's something that if you guys want to have music at your event, at your local, your office party, like a little hang, and you want to have me over play some music, I'm very open to that. Please send me a message if you want me to perform for your event. And what else can I say? If you're watching this and you want to catch more of these Facebook live broadcasts, like today's one is on music theory and harmony, but I often will just perform music. I do Q&A sessions, complete beginner guitar lessons. Sometimes I do lessons completely, most of it on a variety of topics, including beginner topics, and I've done lessons in Malay as well. So all sorts of stuff here on my music page. Please click live notifications. There should be a live notifications button somewhere here where you'll be informed when I'm on Facebook Live. If you happen to be online at that point, you can catch me live. If not, you can catch me in the broadcast, and all the videos are archived on my Facebook page. So thanks so much, everyone. Thanks so much for hanging out, watching this, and hopefully these musical insights, this music theory part on this music is helpful to you guys out there. Hopefully this will inspire you to write your own music or analyze the music that you play, and so you can play it much better and be just freaking awesome. So thanks so much, and see you guys again next time. Take care, and bye bye.